Tonight, Donald Trump at the crossroads. If he can't close the gap on Hillary Clinton soon, could he cost Republicans in the Senate? And why Trump has so much to lose and gain when he talks immigration policy in an expected speech tomorrow night. And then, who else? Anthony Weiner. His sexting and his split with wife Uma Abedin has everyone talking about the man who cannot keep his hands off his phone, in addition to, well, you know. Also, we'll talk about the impact this could have on Uma's boss, Hillary Clinton. And later, of course, back to school season means back to political correctness on college campuses. After Princeton eliminates the word freshman, one of our panelists sounds off, suggesting he change his own name. Good evening and welcome to RFL. I'm Richard French. Thank you so much for joining us this Tuesday night. We begin with a race for the White House. As we slowly begin to see the finish line here, and I promise it's coming, Election Day now sits just 69 days away, and we're less than 4 weeks from the first debate. Poll averages show the race tightening, if albeit just a little, but Hillary Clinton still holds at least a 5-point lead over Donald Trump. I should say other polls have it as much as even double digits. The numbers also tightening in some key swing states, but Clinton continues to lead them all. She leads in Florida by just under 3. In Ohio, her lead sitting at 4. Pennsylvania still a pretty almost 8-point lead. You go to Virginia, the Clinton lead is growing. It now sits at 13 points. Now her steady lead is now pushing attention away from just the presidential race and towards the control of Congress. Republicans, they still have the upper hand, as you know, in control of the House, though some usually safe Republican seats may now be poachable for Democrats. While the Times says the Democrats now hold a 55% favorite to win back control of the U.S. Senate. Republicans keeping an eye on 2 key Senate races where there are primaries today. Both Arizona's John McCain and Florida's Marco Rubio. They're expected to win their nomination fights today, but many expect them to run against Trump as they pivot to the general election, afraid that a Trump backlash may hurt their campaigns. And that impact is also being felt further down the ballot. That is, Republicans in New York, among other places, worried that the Trump effect might cost them control of the state legislature. And for analysis, let's bring in our panel tonight. First up, Journal News columnist Phil Reisman. Alongside him, Dominic Carter, political journalist and author. And across the table, Scott Vanderhoff. Not the 1-term, not the 2-term, not the 3-term or 4-term, the 5-term former Republican County executive and co-chairman of the Palisades Institute of Dominican College. And we're also joined by Andrew Whitman, our senior political correspondent. Andrew, I know you put together some of the numbers here. You know, some numbers even more daunting than the 55. It's small snapshots, but it looks more probable than not, and 1 seat could change it, I grant you, that the Dems actually win the Senate and the House. How much of the Trump effect is contributing to that, and how much have we also seen in some races Republicans you would have thought further hurt by Trump are actually doing okay?
Yeah, there are some Republicans who have managed to stay away from the entire Trump issue and sort of run separately from Trump, and they're the ones who have managed to somewhat come out unscathed throughout all this. There's a correlation between the presidential race and Senate races. And in a lot of these states, like in North Carolina and in other places, including Pennsylvania, we're starting to see the candidates for the Senate running close to about Clinton's lead on their opponents as well. So as Clinton does against Trump, so do these Senate candidates do against the Republicans who are incumbent. So the better Hillary does, the better they're going to wind up doing, particularly if people begin to run away from Trump after we get past the debates and things like that. So this seems to be about the maximum threshold that Trump can trail and still keep a lot of these races competitive.
You know, Scott, there seems to be, well, there's 3 schools of thought. The ones that aren't running for re-election for the most part, Republicans, like in Maine, for example, she says, no, I'm not voting for Trump, period. I'm not voting for Hillary, but I'm not voting for Trump. That's fine if you're not running for re-election. But for those running re-election, they either pretend that there's not a GOP nominee altogether, or they do it at hand's length. And New Yorkers like Peter King, for example, a perfect example of that. He'll denounce certain things that Trump says, but he won't run away from them completely. That's a tough calculation, isn't it? Especially if you've got a tough race.
Oh, it's extraordinarily difficult. And depending on the state and who you're dealing with, for example, in Florida, where Marco Rubio, there are a lot of Trump supporters in Florida, even though Hillary's winning, at least in the polls. where does he go? I mean, and he's already, attacked Trump during the primary, so how he's going to handle that will be interesting. McCain's had it. Yesterday, he actually refused to talk about anything dealing with Trump. Whether he actually turns completely is another question.
That would be my question. After today, after primary, assuming he wins, it's supposed to be closer than maybe people thought, but he's still expected to win. Assume he does. Does after tonight he say, fine, I don't have to deal with this primary nonsense? Let me tell you what I really think about Trump. The same guy who didn't call me a real hero while he was getting deferment after deferment and I was sitting in a POW camp there in Vietnam. You think he lays it out?
I don't think so. Because, really? By the way, tomorrow was very important with respect to Arizona and the immigration policy. Where do we go with this? And how is he going to, McCain is going to have to shuffle around a little bit depending on what Trump says. And of course, what he says, nobody knows because he said everything about all of it. So, it's hard to really know. But I think McCain he's going to have to keep saying, look, I don't agree with that part. I'm supportive of the party and what have you. It may be less true of other races, particularly as you mentioned in New York State, where Trump really doesn't have a chance. Yep. So it's a really interesting question.
And you go north of us. There's a couple congressional seats that historically have come in toss-ups in the 18th and the 19th in our district. In New York, they could go either way, but if you're Faso, if you're the other one, it's, you're looking for oxygen. But at the same time, Trump is from New York. I just don't see how the half-pregnant approach works. You got to be all in with them or all out.
And they've all been doing it all summer long. I mean, even people not running for office or Republicans have been doing it, like Rob Astorino, county executive here in Westchester. It's this sort of strategy of saying, well, we just hope he'll become more presidential and he'll calm down or something like that. But I think this election is just so weird and so unpredictable that it's almost like how are these things going to play out? It's almost like the known unknown, of Donald Rumsfeld.
Exactly.
We'll have to see, and I think these races with McCain and for Rubio, of course Rubio will win, but these things are really interesting experiments on how this renegade candidate Trump is going to impact on these races, and I don't think we really
And we talk about debates, Dom, but there's going to be obviously debates, Senate debates in each of these states where there's swing. And if you're the Democrat, the more times you can say Donald Trump, depending on the state here, you're going to win a debate until the guy either finally disavows him or he says he doesn't, whatever, right? I think things change a lot. I think maybe it'll only take one debate, which is coming up on the 26th of next month, but maybe even before then, where Republicans with the primaries behind them just say, I'm my own guy. I'm not going to vote for Hillary. I don't know who I'm going to vote for, but I'm my own Republican. Donald Trump doesn't speak for me. If anything's been proven, people hate typical politicians, so they want somebody to shoot straight. I think Republicans would be better served with that. Not that they're looking to me for advice.
I wish, Richard, that I had that crystal ball to observe what's going to happen, because I see it just the opposite. The race is tightening. The closer this race gets, if you're a Republican, as the county exec already indicated, this is tough. How do you just walk away? Now, I think what's going to happen is they're going to continue to pick and choose on the issues. Candidates here in New York and around the country. Pick and choose. When he says something stupid, outrageous, dumb, walk away, hands-off approach. The more seasoned and more presidential your term that he may look, I just don't see them just walking away from him. They can't. Would you want to take that gamble? And if this race tightens and he has coattails and you're left holding the bag by yourself, I wouldn't take that chance.
The only thing I would do is I wouldn't try and have it both ways, because I'm not going to have that choice. My opponent in the general will define it one way or the other. They could get away with it through the primary, but between now and November, you're going to be forced as a Republican to say either stand with Donald Trump or I don't. And the only thing I'd say is define yourself before the opponent defines you. Whether you decide I got to hold my nose and stand with him, then stand with him. But if you're going to say you don't, get out in front of it, because if you seem like you're being forced by your opponent to pick a side, it never looks good.
But I must say, to Dominic's point, remember Vice Presidential candidate Pence took a swing away from Trump when he refused to endorse McCain. Remember that? Mm-hmm. And he came out and he said, I endorse him, I don't agree. There are ways to finesse it that I think some of these guys are going to pick up.
There's another calculation in play, too, which is if this lead doesn't close, if Hillary keeps her lead and we get through, let's say, the first debate, and it seems almost inevitable that Hillary is going to beat Trump, you're going to start seeing strategy shifts from a lot of these Republican candidates. Not I'm with or against Donald Trump, but I can stop you from Hillary Clinton. Elect me to the Senate so I can be a bulwark against Hillary and make sure she's not able to get her policies through and shift the entire country to the left. Maybe Trump's not the Republican you want, but at least I can, blunt the impact of a President Hillary.
And we're going to see, we'll have to talk about it in the coming weeks. Already we're seeing some of the debate strategies from the candidates separating themselves. But as we said, tomorrow night, the big night where Donald Trump's got to lay out his plan for immigration. I will say, for the life of me, I don't know what he's going to do. I think he stepped in at this time. No matter what he says, he's going to offend somebody, and I don't think he grows his base. He's proven me wrong before. Maybe he will tomorrow. But when we come back on the other side of the break, his challenge is the Donald's on immigration. He's got a huge speech tomorrow night. It was supposed to be scheduled 2 weeks ago. They kept pushing it off. Finally, Wednesday in Arizona. Tomorrow he'll make it. But he could face trouble whether he softens the tough talk on the issues or if he doubles down. We'll get into that on NFL straight ahead.